in honor of the Ohlone ancestors of this land and my indigenous ancestors, I've been thinking a lot about what it means to decolonize STEM. I use parts, purposes, and complexities, the thinking routine, in order to help me unpack my thinking in a more systemic way. My inner fourth grade teacher wanted to start by decomposing the words. So I knew that I had to understand what colonization meant, or the problem, right? Historically, colonization has been more than just appropriation. It's meant the erasures of peoples. For example, if I ask you to name all of the religions and languages, ways of governance that you know of, what would they be? Well, my first time was frustrating for me because I knew I was being hella colonized and trying really hard to resist. Despite that, I named all of my European ancestor things first. Didn't know why. I know that Mexicas spoke Nahua, and that Yorubas worshipped Orishas, and that Turtle Island indigenous peoples had councils to govern themselves. Well, I thought maybe it's because of the materials and the textbooks that we use, like Mexican American Heritage, that wants us to think that Spanish, Indigenous, and Latinos are the same thing. Or World Geography that wants to relabel African slavery as African workers. And because that just must have been so adventurous, the Connecticut adventure completely minimizes captivity because white slave masters must have been kind. So to decolonize STEM in my classroom, I started really small with the Do Now. My students and I discussed African grannies, for example, and how they used their STEM indigenous practices to benefit women slaves. 87% of midwives today are white, and they still use the ancestral knowledge of African grannies. Yeah. So given the time and space to uncover their STEM indigenous practices, students also give more insightful synthesis, like colonizers didn't only take people, but they took technology, culture, and ideas in order to build up the white man's system. Another student uncovered that her ancestors were the very first to build windmills and water mills to pump water and grind grain over a millennia ago. She expressed in her reflection being extremely proud of her heritage and didn't understand why she had not known that before. Felt like her history had been taken. So for me, liberation means to free myself of that mental slavery that Dr. Martin Luther King explicitly calls out. So I offer that liberating STEM indigenous practices might be what we need to interrupt misguiding ourselves and keeping misguiding our students. Okay. For example, we can also liberate ourselves from false dichotomies. Are you really being culturally responsive and relevant if you're only teaching to my colonizer label as Latina? I don't think so. STEM professionals have begun to change their behaviors, and I think we should too in K-12 STEM education. For example, in Who's Asking Native Science, Western Science, and Science Education, authors Medine and Bang warn that equal opportunity is not enough because parents and students of color have to adopt a white middle class orientation to science. Yeah. At OUSD, we partner with industries in order to give our students that equal opportunity. Medine and Bang also do that, but they are intentional to bring community elders to the table. So where are my community elders in Oakland? Please stand up. Please stand up. Come on, Crystal and Angelica, I guess that's your cue. Crystal's workshop is going to be amazing, and so is the Ojos de Dios that Angelica is doing. Yeah, so I ask, where are those elders? I don't know. We have to find them. But we do have architects like Deanna Van Buren, who uses restorative justice principles to redesign jails on the path to abolition. She has a liberated mindset designing, and I think that's why she is kind of intuitively using these STEM indigenous practices. So I offer that if we do this, our innovations and our technologies may be programmed with a liberated mindset. Maybe our students' innovations are going to be founded on interconnected and nurturing design versus an extractive model. So please help me liberate STEM Indigenous practices so that our students can truly innovate. Thank you.